بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الخلائق أجمعين الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين حبيب المصطفى أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. لعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم إلى قيامة يوم الدين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، يا غريب كربلاء، رزقنا الله في الدنيا زيارتكم وشفاعتكم في الدنيا وفي القبر وفي الآخرة. أما بعد، يقول الله في محكم كتابه وقرآنه المجيد وقوله الحق: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط، لا إله إلا هو العزيز الحكيم. وقال أيضا في سورة نحل: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولو شاء الله لجعلكم أمة واحدة ولكن يضل من يشاء ويهدي من يشاء ولتسألن عما كنتم تعملون. آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our discussions are now entering their fourth night, and as probably all of you know, but it doesn't hurt to remind, the series, How Do I Know I'm Following the Right Religion, is going to be taking the following course over the upcoming nights. Night 1 was our introduction. Night 2 and 3 were on the first of the Usul al-Din, which is, any of the Sunday school kids here can help me? Tawheed. So we talked about Tawheed 2 nights ago and last night. Tonight and tomorrow we will be speaking on Adala. The 2 nights following will be on Nubuwah. The 2 nights following after that will be Imama. And of course, we will have the Maqtal of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam and Sham al-Ghariban. Following after that will be 2 nights dealing with Qiyam. So with that, tonight we will begin our discussion on Adal, also known as divine justice. And I thought to myself, what is one question, what is one area that many struggle with, that I hear over and over and over again, that perhaps I could shed a little bit of light on? And that topic is the topic of, does God choose favorites? Does he misguide others? The ayah that I started, or the ayat that I started off with, the first one, ayah number 18 of Surah Al Imran, shows us that Allah himself is witness along with the malaika that he is what? Qa'iman bil qist. That even when it comes to private equity, justice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself is witness that he is establishing that he is a champion of that, right? قائما بالقسط, that he is the establishment for this justice. The second ayah that I quoted from Surah An-Nahl almost seems to contradict that, at least at first glance. There Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he guides whoever he wants, and he, let's use a bad translation, misguides whoever he wants. Tonight, inshallah, we will be bringing in a multitude of ayat to try and understand what have other schools of thought in Islam answered when they were faced with this question, and what is the mainstream Ithna Ashari view when it comes to this question of misguidance of the divine level. Is this a thing? And how exactly do we explain this? We'll start off with Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. We'll start off with the linguistic meaning of what exactly is hidayah. Hidayah is termed as such because usually when you ask for directions, you can either give correct directions that lead a person to the maqsad, to the goal that they are reaching towards or intending towards, or anything that is not hidayah will guide them off of that right path, right? That sirat al-mustaqim that they want to be on. You don't need to look further for a real life example of that than myself. A couple of weeks ago, when I was in the Hijaz performing Hajj, every single officer that you ask, no matter what it is the Kaaba, where's Rasulullah, where's the Jamara, where's this, where's that? All of them have the same exact answer. And to some extent, I don't blame them because some of them, they're coming in from Jeddah, some from Medina, some from Juhfa, some from Riyadh. And what's their answer, all of them? Just keep on going this way. Okay, thank you so much. That was so helpful. One of them, I went and told them, instead of guidance towards that, I told them, give me step-by-step directions so that I actually end up over it. That officer, may God bless him and his family, gave me one step after another of how exactly I could get to, for example, Safa and Marwa, at the level that I needed to go and do Safa and Marwa's rounds. So this is the linguistic meaning of hidayah. Hidayah can also be taken as a metaphorical thing, where someone who is guided, someone who is already put on that right direction, metaphorically we can go and say that he is had or muhtad. So this will become useful when we come to a couple of different schools of thought in Islam that dealt with this question of how exactly do we answer, is God actively guiding some people and misguiding others? So one of the ayat that I want to bring our attention to first and foremost is in Surah Al-Ra'd. And there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say in verse number 27, and this ayah we're going to come back to a couple of different times. Okay, so I want you to remember what exactly this ayah says. The rest of the ayat we'll be going to a little bit quickly, but we'll be coming back to ayah number 27 of Surah Al-Ra'd a fair bit. And he says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويقول الذين كفروا لولا أنزل عليه آية من. They say, why isn't a sign, why isn't a miracle sent down from his master? قل إن الله يضل من يشاء ويهدي إليه من أناب. He says, say, O Muhammad, that Allah will no doubt misguide whoever, will use the bad translation, whoever he wants, وَيَهْدِي إِلَيْهِ مَنْ أَنَابَ, and whoever turns in anab, in the state of being anab, that's the one who he will give hidayah to. What is anab? Very quickly, this comes from the same root word of aba, ya'ubu, tawbah, right? Whoever does tawbah and comes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guaranteeing hidayah. We'll come back to this and analyze this towards the end of the lecture. So now the problem that every school of thought was faced with is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala misguiding people? Because of course, if Allah is guiding people, that's not really too much of a problem. We'll welcome any guidance that we can get because the test is hard. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is misguiding, then doesn't that mean that some people are his favorites and other people he's actively taking off of Sirat al-Mustaqim? This is a question that, if you believe it, people who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s are still phoning me and asking. And people are losing their faith over this. This is not just something that, Sunday school teachers need to be equipped with when kids will inevitably ask these questions. We need to be ready for when family, friends, and atheists and agnostics also come and ask us these kinds of questions. So, is he then actively misguiding some people? And then at the same time, we read in Surah Al-Qasas, ayah number 56, what do we read? We read Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَهُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِالْمُهْتَدِينَ. Says, you can't guide whoever you want, but however, it's Allah who is guiding whoever he wants. Again, bad translation. We'll correct it by the end. And he knows exactly who it is who is guided. Okay. So now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to come and say that he is going to take us to account. This is something that we read all over the Quran. Now you're telling me, based on these few ayat that we've already established so far, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to actively misguide, and then he's also going to ask me, why did you do this? One of the schools, or a couple of the schools of thought that subscribe to the Jabariya, right, which is the predestination school of thought, they would go and say, in way of analogy, if you want to go and ask, like, the one that is pushed, hey, why did you hit me? I don't know. Ask the one who pushed me, right? So it's not me who's doing it. I'm not hitting you. It's the one who's grabbing my hand and making me slap you. So this is not something that really, to any intelligent human being, especially the one who we are inviting to Islam, is going to make much sense. You're telling me that everything is already written, and whether I get guided or misguided is in Allah's hands. And then he's also going to ask me why I did this. And then he's going to reward me and punish me based on it. And he has different levels of punishment and reward based on that. Make that make sense. So we have to go and combat this wrong primary understanding first. So first, we have some Muslims who say, look, everything is done by Allah. You and I have no control over our actions. This whole entire free will thing, this is a facade, this is a mirage. Okay? So what do we say to that? We say, okay, well, let's look at some of the following ayat. Let's have 3 loud salawats. We read in Surah Ibrahim, ayah number 40, رَبِّ اجْعَلْنِي مُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ. These are ayahs, by the way, that I'm going to be quoting right now really quickly, that don't have any wording of hidayah or dalala, but implicitly the message is hidayah or dalala. So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? He says in Surah Ibrahim, verse number 10, or I'm sorry, verse number 40, رَبِّ اجْعَلْنِي مُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ. What do we understand from this? This muqim as-salah, who's going to do the salah? You or me? I'm sorry, you or Allah? Of course, it's going to be you. So now, if this is what you're asking for, what exactly are you asking Allah for if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is controlling you like a puppet? Ya Allah, could you just make sure that the puppet strings, they make sure that I go into my ruku correctly, and then when I go into sujood, I say exactly what I'm supposed to say, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la and not Azim, because then I have to go and do some, makeup kind of stuff, and I have to get back to work. Right? This is how some of us think during Salah. Probably not with the puppet strings analogy, but you know what I'm saying. So now, another ayah number 27, يثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ويضل الله الظالمين. يَفْعَلُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will yuthabbit. Not the wording of hidayah. Yes, walal comes later. But what does it mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to fortify you with a strong word, with a very strong proof? What does this mean? In so many words, hidayah. So we don't accept this idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just controlling us and He's just operating us like puppet strings, because we have even other ayat without hidayah and dalalah that they seem to have glossed over and not taken into their account. Another one in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 7. This one probably all of us know, especially if you know Alif Lam Mim Dhalika al-Kitabu la rayba fih. Ayah number 7. What does it say? It says, "Khatama Allahu ala wa ala sam'ihim." So now we have further wording that doesn't use dalala and hidayah, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is basically saying they're not going to get it. Summun bukmun umyun fahum ayarji'un. They're not going to come back to the path of hidayah because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already sealed all of these senses. Another one we see in Surah Al-Isra, ayah number 46, وَجَعَلْنَا عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ أَكِنَّةً. This akinna, this kind of covering that their heart is in. What is this if not dalal? They won't be able to understand anything. Right? They won't be able to understand because their understanding, their heart is locked. What does this have to do with Allah? How is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now going to be held responsible? It doesn't make sense. In Surah Al-Kahf, in ayahs number 100 to 101. لا بأس صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَعَرَضْنَا جَهَنَّمَ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْكَافِرِينَ الَّذِينَ كَانَتْ أَعْيُنُهُمْ فِي غِطَاءٍ عَنْ ذِكْرِي وَكَانُوا لَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ سَمْعًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we have prepared on that day Jahannam for the kafirin. And which kafirin? Specifically those whose eyes were blind to my remembrance. وَكَانُوا لَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ سَمْعًا. And they did not have the ability to hear. Question. Why are they going to Jahannam if they couldn't hear? They couldn't hear the ayat. Why are you sending them to hell? The answer to this comes in a different ayah. This is in Surah Al-Qalam. And what does Surah Al-Qalam say? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ala Muhammad wa Ali. Second, louder salawat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَوْمَ يُكْشَفُ عَنْ سَاقٍ وَيُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ أَيَسْتَطِيعُونَ. So we see the same word of istita'a. They're not able to. Why won't they be able to when the metaphorical, however we want to understand it, the shin is uncovered and they're invited, come do sujood? Why won't they be able to? The next ayah tells us, خاشعة أبصارهم ترهقهم إلا فقد كانوا يدعون إلى السجود وهم سالمون. Back in the world, in dunya, they used to be invited to come and do sujood when they were sound. What was their answer? Not going to come. Why should we come and do sujood? Not going to. So similarly, that istita'a, the previous ayah of Surah Al-Kahf, this is why they are going to Jahannam. Their ears could not work because they never let it. This is not someone who has a defect. This is not someone with congenital, deafness. This is someone who chose the path of deafness. This is someone who, when the ayat were, read upon him, even though he knew that the Quran was the truth, he said, can we not talk about this? This is too much. Why, you don't believe? No, I believe, but it's just, I don't want to deal with it. Because then I'll have to go and start reevaluating myself. What did we say in night number 1? That nafsan, lawama, that people never reach sometimes. Some people actively stunt their growth and they don't want to keep growing. They want to stay in the base levels. They want to stay happy with the dunya and its material desires. They don't want to grow. They don't want to evolve. Over here, they were كانوا يدعون إلى السجود وهم سالمون. So now let's come to some of the schools of thought and how exactly they understood hidayah. What in their ideology, what were their ideas of hidayah? The first idea, and I'm going to go over these. You don't have to remember it. We'll revisit this, okay? So it's okay. You don't have to worry too much. I'll do the heavy lifting. The first group says that, look, this hidayah, dalala, all of this kind of stuff, metaphor. Ajaz. Don't worry about it, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what he does, he points to this person, says they're good. Points to that person, says they're bad. End of story, khalas. Okay, it's an interesting theory. Theory number two, what do you have to say? Theory number two says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will inform you that, look, this is the way towards hidayah. This is hidayah. And he will inform you that this is the opposite. This is dalala. Okay, that's interesting too. What's theory number three? Well, idea number three is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts making the feelings inside of me so that I love something or I hate something. And now, based on what I love, this is hidayah. And what he makes me hate, this is dalal. If I start going towards what I hate, dalal. If I start going towards what I love, hidayah. We'll go into a little bit more depth with each of these ideas. And don't worry, we don't have to remember, oh, which one's number one, which is number two, which is number three. I got you. Number four, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills something, therefore I do it. Right? He says, kun fayakun, I do it. These are all Muslim schools of thought, by the way, that have come up with these theories. And finally, number five, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates all of my actions, just like how he creates me. Yes? And the ayah that they like to cite for that is from Surah As-Saffat, ayah number 96. Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. He created you as well as he created all of your actions as well. Okay, it's an interesting theory. So these are the five theories. Actually, there are really only three. The first two, and then all of the last three are kind of all saying one and the same thing. It's just different theories of how it happens, right? And those are, Allah makes me love or hate something, Allah commands something and I do it, or Allah is the one who actually creates what I do. This last one, let's go into it a little bit more depth, right? What does it mean Allah creates everything I do? Okay, first of all, Allah creates me. That one, I don't think any Muslim has any problem with. Allah created me. The second one is that Allah creates the intention, I should go and pray right now. Okay. I don't have too much of a problem with that. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. The third thing is Allah actually creates the action of my salah. So then what's the answer for those ones who don't pray? Well, Allah created them, yeah. But he never created the intention in them. And number three, he never created the action of salah for them. That's okay. How are they going to be held accountable? But that is not for you to go and ask. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who will do the questioning. He is not questioned. Okay, and there's an ayah for that as well. لا يسألوا عما يفعلوا وهم يسألون. Okay, so now we ask a question over here. Could hidayah just be a generalized term, meaning, okay, hidayah towards Jannah? No, because there's other types of hidayah as well. Like what? Surah An-Nisa, ayah number 168 and 169. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? He says, وَلَا لِيَهْدِيَهُمْ طَرِيقًا إِلَّا طَرِيقَ جَهَنَّمَ. They will not receive any kind of hidayah except the hidayah taking them to the road towards Jahannam. There's something called Tariqa Jahannam. Okay? What is that? Refer to my series from last year. All of that. Another one. وَهُدُوا إِلَى صِرَاطٍ حَمِيدٍ. So it's Hajj, ayah number 24. And finally, أَفَأَنْتَ تُكْرِهُ النَّاسَ حَتَّى يَكُونُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ. Are you going to go and keep on forcing people until they become mu'mineen? This is from Surah Yunus, ayah number 99. No, the answer is no. This is not something that, is just wording towards paradise. No. There's a lot of other things that have hidayah being used in the Quran as well. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala. Now, see if we have a response to idea number one. What was idea number one? Idea number one is this idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who just points to a person and says, you're good, and he points to another person and says, you're bad. This is literally the definition of he's choosing favorites. You're going to be guided, you're not going to be guided. You get paradise, you don't get paradise. Right? This is, and of course, like, we're not trying to compare. But this idea is so silly, it's kind of like trying to compare Allah Ta'ala to Oprah Winfrey. You get a car, you get... What is this? This is not what we believe. Is there any way that we can disprove this idea? Alhamdulillah, yes. There is actual divine action taking place. It's not just a metaphor. Why? Because idea number one says it's a metaphor. What ayah do we bring as proof? This comes from Surah Al-Jathiyah, ayah number 23. Allah himself is the one who is misguiding this person, and this person has knowledge, meaning with his knowledge he is becoming misguided. Through his knowledge he is becoming misguided. وَأَضَلَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ وَخَتَمَ عَلَى سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ وَجَعَلَ عَلَى بَصَرِهِ غِشَاوَةً فَمَنْ يَهْدِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ. Who will come and guide him after Allah? These are clear divine actions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who misguided him. Who can guide him besides Allah? No metaphor. So we say to idea number one, thank you so much, go home. Okay. Response now to idea number two. What was idea number two that the Muslims brought forward? Idea number two is to make clear and say this is guidance, and to make clear and say this is misguidance. We have a problem with this or no? Do we have a response to this? We say actually this is correct when it comes to certain ayat. Let's see which ayat. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna hadaynahu as-sabila imma shakiran wa imma kafura. This is from Surah Al-Insan. Wa hadaynahu an-najdayn. We guided him to the two highways. Okay, from Surah Al-Balad. فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Shams. Then we have, this is a longer ayah that I'll need to pull up. This is in Surah Fussilat. Okay? Ayah number 17. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَمَّا ثَمُودُ فَهَدَيْنَاهُمْ فَاسْتَحَبُّوا الْعَمَى عَلَى الْهُدَى فَأَخَذَتْهُمْ صَاعِقَةُ الْعَذَابِ الْهُونِ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. As for Ad, who's Ad? Is Ad one of the good people or the bad people? Bad people. Messiah that were destroyed. As for Ad, we guided them. هَدَيْنَاهُمْ فَاسْتَحَبُّوا الْعَمَى عَلَى الْهُدَى. However, these guys preferred being blind over being guided. فَأَخَذَتْهُمْ صَاعِقَةُ الْعَذَابِ الْهُونِ. So therefore the adab came and punished them. So these ayahs say that, yes, look, there is some sort of general hidayah. How? The first ayah, إِنَّ هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. This is a generalized ayah for all of humanity. Look, I'm going to bring you to the beginning of the path of hidayah, to the beginning of the path of guidance. Whether you want to be thankful for that, that little push, that preliminary help, that's up to you or not. But I did guide you. Shakiran wa imma kafura. Does this mean that I guided you all the way to know every single little detail of what's right in religion, what's wrong in religion, what's the correct belief, what's the correct fit, No, you have to go and figure out yourself. Eventually Allah will go and give you hidayah after you struggle. إِنَّ هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. The next ayah, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. Okay, now that you're on two highways, whichever one you choose, you're going to be on this fast track. If you're on the good track, you'll be on this fast track too, and more opportunities will help, and it'll become easier. But if you're on the bad track, then does that mean that Allah guided you towards dalala? No, he put you on that fork in the road. So this is just talking about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given everybody, not towards the mu'min. Where do we find that verse of hidayah towards the mu'min? Surah Rahman. وَيَهْدِي إِلَيْهِ مَنْ أَنَابَ. I told you we would come back to this ayah. That one who is repentant. This is something that is khas for the mu'min, not for everybody. Okay, now let's see the last ayah. This is from Surah Al-Ahzab. وَاللَّهُ يَقُولُ الْحَقُّ وَهُوَ يَهْدِي السَّبِيلِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who says the truth, and He is the one who will guide everybody to the path. Remember, we said in night number 2, when we were saying we are all programmed instinctively to believe in God. Where did that come from? Allah helped us out. When you are born, you already have an idea of what's right and what's wrong. This is why when you look at a little baby, yes, and they soil themselves, in their fitrah, they know that this is something that's a little bit embarrassing. So what do? Go and hide in the corner. Or they'll go and say to mom and dad, I did a uh-oh. Those of you who have kids, those of you who don't, inshallah, one day. This is something that even kids, where did they learn this from? They learned this from mom and dad, maybe the words, I don't know, but other than that, they already have this pre-programmed. This is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided them already Himself. This is the general guidance. So can we say that we take idea number 2 and now we go and apply it literally over everything that has to do with hidayah? No, that's not what the Quran supports. Look, at the end of the day, whatever ideas the Muslims brought, let them bring. I need to have beliefs that are grounded in the Quran. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi. Brothers and sisters, let's have another second louder silence. Now we come to the response for ideas 3 through 5. These 3, 4, and 5, these are all kind of different ways of saying the same exact ideology, right? And the Ash'aris, the Maturidis, even the theological Hanbalis, they believed in this. Specifically, the Hanbalis, they believed in idea number 5, which is Allah creates me, Allah creates my intention, and He creates my actions. Okay. We say, okay, idea number 3, if someone has a love towards alcohol, right? Because idea number 3 is what? Allah will go and generate the love or the hate inside of me, and that is what will guide me. This is okay from a preliminary, that beginning, hidayah that Allah gives everybody. For every single moral decision, no, that doesn't make sense. What I love at that early age with that preliminary moral template, yeah, I love to tell the truth. I love to go and help my parents. I love to go and help the oppressed. I love to stand against, stand against the oppressor, right? All of these things, they're very easy. What if someone has this love and he wants to go and try something that's haram? And then he goes and tries it. And now he has even more love towards it. And now what is he going to do? He's going to go and blame this ideology and say, well, look, Allah put the love in me. And so He's guiding me towards more sin, towards more alcohol. So we say, no, this does not seem to be the most correct idea. So we put that off to the side. And we say, look, these ideas, idea 3, 4, and 5, they'll use ayat like Surah Isra, ayah number 97, مَن يَهْدِ اللَّهُ فَهُوَ وَمَن يُضْلِلْ فَلَن تَجِدَ لَهُ أَوْلِيَاءَ مِن دُونِهِ. This is kind of like a analyzed kind of thing. Whoever Allah guides, consider him a muhtad. Whoever Allah misguides, consider him, he doesn't have anybody else to help him. Okay, so then what stops someone like Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad or Yazid ibn Muawiyah when he says, look, Allah put the love of khilafah in my heart. Umar ibn Sa'd, didn't he have that love for Ray and the hukuma of Ray? Allah, so then let him go and say to Abu Abdullah alayhi salam, look, what can I do? Allah went to put me on this path. وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. He put me on, this is hidayah from Allah. Some of them actually did try to use it. This is why it's important for us in these kinds of nights to go over these mistakes that previous Muslims have made so that we don't go and, look, you only get one life. think we all agree. And if you mess up, you're not going to be able to go over there to Allah and say, "Ya Allah, come on, give me another chance, send me back. I want to go and try again now that I have I have my ideologies set straight." To set them straight now. When else are we going to go and fix everybody's ideology? Unfortunately, and we don't want to stereotype, but there are some people who are still in those growing phases where they will only come for Muḥarram and for Shahr Ramadan. Even in Muḥarram, they'll only come on night 9, night 10. Hopefully, they're listening to lectures, previous nights on their own time. In Ramadan, they'll only come on the 19th, the 21st, and the 23rd. But we have to try as much as possible to spread these ideas. And those who are here in the earlier nights, if you know someone who is struggling with these, at least point them toward the lecture. Give them hidayah towards the lecture. Yes, see what I did there? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We say, however, if we look towards the next couple of ayat, we'll learn a couple of things that completely dismantle ideas 3, 4, and 5. Let's look at idea number 4 and what they say. It says, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands something and I do it. There are laws in the universe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something, I do it. If Allah did not want me to be here, for example, at this center, I would not be here at the center. Kind of hard to argue with these kinds of people. This is exactly, by the way, what Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad is implying to say to Zainab when he goes and says, how did you find what Allah did to your brother? When Allah killed your brother, how did you like that? Or she said, مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. Had someone given this type of lecture to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, at least maybe he wouldn't have had that kind of wrong ideology. We don't want to go and become on the path, the Ibn Ziyads and the Ibn Marjanas and the Yazids, to go and be reunited in Jannah with the right ideology of Muhammad and al-Muhammad. So what are those ayat that we'll take a look at? The first one is ayat number 48 of Surah Al-Ma'idah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. And Allah wanted, He could have made you all one ummah. Now, in this sense, this is not, a ayat talking about race and freedom. No, this is talking about beliefs. That if Allah wanted, He could have all put you on hidayah. He could have made all of you guided. Well, if Allah wanted to, but He didn't, that means that He doesn't want us on all on hidayah. Put a little bit more simply, Allah does not want everybody to be guided, but there's a caveat. Before anybody just takes this little clip and makes a YouTube series, look at all these things that the Shaykh has said. No, hold on. Allah does not want everybody to be guided if there's no free will. If you're not going to come to Allah on His own, He doesn't want it. Right? He says, وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً وَلَكِنَّ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ فِيمَا آتَاكُمْ. He gave everybody different things. He gave everybody different facilities. This comes in the context of the Jews and the Christians, specifically the Christians. Because we could have made you all one ummah. Probably. But because I gave them this book, and I gave you this book, I want to see you struggle and come to the same truth eventually, but through your own tariqas. I don't want to go and force you. There's no jabr in this. I want to see you come to it yourselves. In the other ayah, we read, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لَآمَنَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا. If Allah wanted, every single person on earth would believe. Again, from that same ayah, from before, from Surah Yunus, ayah number 99. Allah says, if Allah wanted, He could have made everybody a believer. So now you, Ya Rasulullah, you're going to go and work so hard and force people against their wills so they become mu'mineen. It's not what I want. Do you see the common thread between these ayat that I'm quoting right now? God doesn't want to force you. Later on, people will come and ask, why didn't Imam Ali alayhi salam raise the sword when this Khilafah was stolen? Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't go and force his rububiyyah. Rasulullah didn't go and force his nubuwah on you. You want Ali ibn Abi Talib to go and force his wilayah on you? Doesn't make sense. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says about Imam Ali alayhi salam that you are like the cow who will come to you. You want to come to Ali, all well. It's to your benefit. But if you want to leave him, then it's to your detriment. He's not going to come and force the people when they have their own will. They want to go and establish their own khilafah. Okay. But that doesn't mean that other schools of thought can now come and say, well, Allah wanted this. If Allah didn't want it, how would it have happened? You see how these kinds of ideas, if they're not corrected, they can have major repercussions, such that they generate entire schools of thought. All it takes is one simple question. Okay, fine. You say that Khalifa number 1, Khalifa number 2, Khalifa number 3. Then Ali is number 4. That this is the irada of Allah, right? Otherwise it wouldn't have happened. This is what you say, right? So then are you willing to go and say that Alexander the Great and Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin and Barack Obama and Donald Trump and Joseph Biden, all of these people are by the will of Allah? Now they're going to wait. Hitler, Stalin. Some of them are going to say, wait, Trump? Others are going to say, wait, Biden? This is why I named all of those presidents. Right? Because some of them have problems with others and others don't. Really, you're going to say, Allah, He put His stamp of approval on all of these people? You sure about that? Because that's what you're saying with number 1, 2, and 3, and then number 4 is Imam. Careful what you say. This kind of, examples, it wakes people up. So now, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? He says in some very interesting ayat in Surah Hud, the 11th chapter, which I'll quote you about Salat ala Muhammad wa al Muhammad. He says, وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لِيُهْلِكَ الْقُرَى بِظُلْمٍ Again, that same wording up. If Allah wanted, He could have made you as one single ummah on the same belief system. There would have been no need to go through, oh, well, is this the correct belief? That's the correct belief. There is a correct objective belief. But if Allah wanted to, He would have. But He didn't. See, that's the meaning of the word. If He had wanted to. Says if He had wanted to, He would have made you one ummah. وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. They continue to differ. They continue to have differences. Look, if Allah wanted to, look, the Mashi'ah of Allah is different from the irada of Allah. If Allah has an irada of something, what happens? إِنَّمَا إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونَ. This is why the word irada is used in 33:33. إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. When it's the irada of Allah, khalas, it's done. Kun fayakun, it's done. But with the Mashi'ah of Allah, insha'Allah, then this is something that Allah hopes for. Or maybe not hopes for, He would like. What would He like? Everybody to be guided. What would He like? He would like Imam Hussein alayhi salam to be obeyed and not killed, and his family not to be dragged like a circus between the Muslim cities. That's what Allah would like. What you do, however, you don't have to obey Allah. And what He would like, Allah would like Ali ibn Abi Talib to come directly after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What you do, however, it's up to you. Allah's not going to go and force you to what He has been guiding you towards. Not Allah's style. Allah wants you to respect, for example, the camel of Salih. What did they do to it? So, the next ayah, وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّهُ. Oh, so Allah can have rahmah on certain people, and these people will be a ummatan wahidatan, on the same belief system. There will be no ikhtilaf between them. إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّكَ. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something very, very interesting. This is why He created them. You're telling me that the purpose of creation, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا يَعْبُدُونَ. Come and bring that now over here with these ayah. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you so that you could go and do His ibadah the correct way. Not that you go and make up your own way of doing ibadah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants 5 times a day prayer from you. That doesn't mean that you go and start doing backflips and jumping jacks and whatever you want. Okay? You do what the Rasul and the A'immah have preserved for you, this religion. إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And we also see another reason for creation. Where do we see this one? In Hadith al-Kisa. مَا خَلَقْتُ السَّمَاءَ not this, not that, not that. إِلَّا فِي مَحَبَّةِ هَؤُلَاءِ الْخَمْسَةِ الَّذِينَ تَحْتَ الْكِسَى. صلوا على محمد. How do we understand these three? 51 Surah Al-Ariyat says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I only created jinn kind and mankind so that they worship. The other one says, I created all of this universe for Ahlul Bayt. This ayah that we just read from Surah Hud says, I want everybody to be united, but everybody keeps on differing. They have their own ideas. They want to go and do their own thing. إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّكَ. Except for the one who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes and puts His special rahmah on. And that's why I created all of you in the first place, so that I could go and show you the rahmah to go and put you on the right path. Because once you have the right path, what does that automatically mean? You're going to pass the test. You're going to win at the end of Judgment Day. You're going to go to Jannah. And you can experience not just the Rahmaniyya side of me, but the Rahimiyya side of me. You can have forever Jannat Adnin Tajri Fiha. Tajri Min Tahtiha. You have everything you want over there forever. This is the reason why He guided, why He created us. So how do we make sense of all of these three things? Ibadah, Ahlul Bayt, Rahmah, follow Allah. Allah Ta'ala did create this entire universe for the sake of the Ahlul. But now He also wants other people to follow and be like the Ahlul. How do you do that? Have Iman, and Allah gives you more. He gives you more guidance. And then He takes you through your ibadah to paradise, where you can be with Ahlul Bayt, and you can have the same reward as Ahlul Bayt. How do I come to this conclusion of you need to have Iman for Allah to continue to guide you? See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you have to come and you have to be the first initiator of the action before Allah will act. How do we know this? يَهْدِيهِمْ رَبُّهُمْ بِإِيمَانِهِمْ in Surah Yunus, ayah number 9. In Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 213, He says, فَهَدَى اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لِمَا اخْتُلِفَ فِيهِ مِنَ الْحَقِّ بِإِذْنِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now is guiding people after so much confusion and this and that, because by His irada towards the haqq. But who's He guiding specifically? الَّذِينَ. And in the other ayah we already said, يَهْدِيهِمْ رَبُّهُمْ بِإِيمَانِهِمْ, through, with the use of their iman. Another example of this is Ashabul Kahf. Ashabul Kahf in ayah number 13 of Surah Al-Kahf, إِنَّهُمْ فِتْيَةٌ آمَنُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ وَزِدْنَاهُمْ. No doubt they were young preteens. And they believed in their master. Remember, they lived at a time where this is after Christianity, so it's the Roman government. So they believe in gods like Jupiter and Neptune and Pluto and Saturn and Aphrodite and these Roman pantheons of gods. These guys come and say, no. Rabbuna Rabbus Samawati. Our God is the God of the sky and the earth, not this Jupiter and Pluto and whoever else. Allah. So they were threatened. have 1 week to go and recant and take back what you said. Otherwise, we'll stone you. We don't care how old you are. So they had to go and say, okay, we have to do hijrah. The cave was just a meeting place and they happened to go to sleep over there. Otherwise, they decided they were trying to get out of town. Plus, I have other plans for you because I have a different people about 100 years from now who I have to wake you up for, and I'm going to guide them through you. Because they're going to have a debate within Christianity. Is the resurrection spiritual or is it bodily as well? And when they woke up, they were bodily as well. But coming back to our point, they believed in their Lord. Was it dinahum huda, and we increased them in more guidance. What do we learn from this? Who represents Iman? In that previous ayah of Surah Ra'd, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَهْدِي إِلَيْهِ مَنْ أَنَابَ. The one who is going to do tawbah, Allah will guide him as well. The more you do tawbah, brothers and sisters, the more Iman bring in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not just by your lips, Allah will increase and increase and increase the hidayah that He gives you. And it'll be in way more ways than one. As a quick example, this is something that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says. It says, if you act on what you know, Allah will guide you to that which you do not. Rasulullah Bahjat was once asked by his students, how did you get to all of this knowledge? How did you learn all of this? How can we do it? He says, just act on what you do know. Allah will guide you to what you don't. We have so many things that we do know and we're not acting on. We know we're supposed to pray. We know we're supposed to be charitable. We know we're supposed to do X, Y, and Z. Don't. We know we're supposed to be in the masjid during the 10 nights of Shura. And some of us are watching TV. We're going out with what? Obviously not the jama'ah that's literally right in front of my eyes. You guys are here, inshallah. Allah bless you. But we know friends. Only come for the month. Will only come for Sham Ghariban, then after that you never see from them again. We know what we're supposed to do. Act on what you do know, Allah will guide you to so many other. Brothers and sisters, I want to conclude really quickly, and then we want to also get to the musibah, right? So we have also the same thing happening with misguidance. We have with regards to Bani Israel, when they decided to go astray, Allah went and made their hearts stray even more. Who acted first? They did. Another ayah. وَيُضِلُّ اللَّهُ الظَّالِمِينَ وَيَفْعَلُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ. This is again Surah Ibrahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala misguides only the who? The zalimeen. But what did they? They already did dhulm. This is why Allah is misguiding them. And there are many other ayats, but of course we see in the ayah of Jannah, Alhamdulillah alladhi hadana wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. Right? This ayah, as well as Surah Al-Baqarah in ayah number 26, Allah la yastahyi an yadriba مثلا ما بعوضة ما فوقها فأما الذين آمنوا فيقولون هذا من عند الله. Right? وأما الذين كفروا فيقولون ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا. See, look at that. يضل به كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا. Allah will guide using the same example and He will misguide using the same example. Look at the attitudes. Sometimes the punctuation in the translations of the Quran doesn't do it justice. What does the Quran say? Allah will go and bring you the example of a fly. The people who believe, they'll say, okay, look, this is an example from Allah. The people who disbelieve, they're like, who said this is correct? Allah? He's going to go and use a fly? Well, what's Allah even trying to say with this kind of an example? Look, if I were to give God some, tips and pointers, this is the kind of examples I would go. Look at the attitude. Just because Allah went and made an example, these people are like, what kind of an example is this? They start saying things about the Quran that are not appropriate. Yes? So on top of these people, Allah will go and add more misguidance. So even your attitude of how you approach the Quran affects whether you're going to get more hidayah or not. And finally, we see in Surah Ibrahim, verse number 3, الَّذِينَ يَسْتَحِبُّونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا عَلَى الْآخِرَةِ يَصُدُّونَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَيَبْغُونَهَا عِوَجًا أُولَٰئِكَ فِي ضَلَالٍ بَعِيدٍ. Who is it, Allah says, is in clear misguidance, far, far way off misguidance? Those people who preferred the life of this world to the hereafter. And they block others from even the way of Allah. They seek to make it crooked. So, brothers and sisters, now let's conclude with how do we then translate these ayats of يهدي به من يشاء or يهدي من يشاء ويضل من يشاء. Remember, I kept on saying that this is a bad translation. The correct translation, because the Arabic language is so flexible, but because the vast majority of our translators get this wrong, correct translation would be Allah guides whoever wants. Not whoever He wants. Man yasha can be whoever Allah wants, or whoever Himself wants. وَيُضِلُّ بِهِ مَن يَشَاءُ. And whoever wants to be misguided, Allah will misguide. So to answer that question that we asked at the beginning, does Allah play favorites? Does He misguide some people? Absolutely not. But once you are on that Najdain, once you're on one of those two highways, either on the highway towards misguidance, guess what? It's going to get easier and easier and easier to get misguided. And if you're on that guidance highway, then it's going to get easier and easier and easier to climb up the ranks. All it takes, brothers and sisters, don't think that it's, oh my God, the Imams, the Prophets, they're so far away. Everybody has to start somewhere. All you have to do, like I said a couple of minutes ago, act on what you do know. Allah will do the rest. And trust me, I am a living example. I used to be Ismaili. Then I became Sunni. And now I'm here, for some reason, talking to you guys as a Shia. How did that happen? It's not anything I did. This is all Allah subhanahu. We say, of course, Alhamdulillah alladhi hadana liha wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an. Brothers and sisters, there are many examples that we could give from Karbala tonight. One very quick example before we get to our musibah. Yesterday we mentioned Khur bin Yazid al-Riyahi. His exact opposite is Umar ibn Sa'ad. On the night of the 7th of Muḥarram, he is in the tent with Abu Abdullah alayhi salam, and Abu Abdullah is saying, I will take care of your family. I will take care of the money that they're paying. I will take care of this. I will give you free passage. I will give you a home. I will give you safety. I will give you all of this. At the end, what does Ibn Sa'ad say? La'atullah alayh. He says, وَلَكِنْ حُكُومَةُ الرَّيْء. Can you give me that? Hussein alayhi salam says, you will not even eat from the wheat. Umar ibn Sa'ad, also on the day of Ashura, was having trouble following all of the commandments of Ibn Ziyad. He's like, wait, I'm supposed to go and kill the son of Rasulullah, the son of Fatima al-Zahra? But eventually his son and the other people like Shimon, who were like, if you can't do it, it's okay. We'll take over the command of the army. He says, no. Tell the governor in Kufa, bear witness that I'm the first one who launches the attack on the camp of Imam. He was the first one who threw the arrows. He wanted that credit. He wanted that reward. He wasn't really convinced about killing Imam Hussein alayhi salam because dunya is such a strong ensnaring trap. It captured Umar bin Sa'ad, and it almost captured Hur. Hur comes to Umar bin Sa'ad. Are we really going to fight Abu Abdullah? Are we really going to kill him? Yes, we have no choice. We have to fight him. We have to kill him. Immediately he starts thinking to himself and debating. I see myself between Jannah and Nar. But for other people who were already on this highway, friends of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, friends from a young age of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, friends like Muslim ibn Awsaja. Muslim ibn Awsaja was someone who was in the government of Imam Ali, who was in the Shurtat al-Khamis. He was that special guard of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. When he comes to Ashura on the night of the 9th, on the night preceding the battle on the 10th, when Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, it's okay, you can go home. You guys have given me enough companionship. It's me, they. What is Muslim, this old friend of Imam? Look at the loyalty. We wish, Ya Allah, that we could be friends like this with our Imam. Our Imam is friendless. Our Imam, who knows who is loyal, who he can keep close, who he can confide in, and who he doesn't have to confide in. But that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, at least he had Muslim. Muslim comes and says to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, when he says to him, leave, he says to all of the companions, leave, he says that what kind of a excuse would we have in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment? That we preferred our lives over yours? Is that even fair? That we run for our lives and you stay over here and you get killed? Never. If we were to be revived and been given the chance to die again, we would take it. And if our spears tomorrow break, then our swords will suffice. And if our swords and our arrows are gone and they're broken, then I'm going to start hurling rocks at them. But never am I going to leave your side. Muslim, his turn to come and fight comes when the right flank of the army of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is being attacked by Amr ibn Hajjaj. Amr ibn Hajjaj first comes with a head-on attack, and when that starts to not work, and he starts to hurl insults at Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he says, fight these mulhids, these atheists, talking about Imam Hussein's group. He says, fight these people who have left the religion. Fight these kuffar. Fight these people who are mushrikeen and munafiqeen. Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, are you trying to go and excite the people to come and fight me? May Allah deprive His mercy from you. You will soon see when all of us have left our bodies who is more deserving of hellfire. Amr goes and retreats and he goes towards the Euphrates River. Now he comes towards the right side of Imam Hussein's army. At this point, the commander of the right flank of the army, who takes Muslim ibn Awsaja, now goes into battle. In this, two of the mal'oon enemies of God start fighting with Muslim ibn Awsaja. And eventually they overpower him and they beat him. Muslim ibn Awsaja, in his final moments when he is wounded, is lying on the plains of Karbala. And I want you to look at the loyalty of this beautiful companion. We are soon going to be leaving behind the companions of Imam. And the following nights, the big nights, are for the family members. We are not going to be able to be family members, probably, of our Imam. We want to be companions of his. What do later Imams come and say? They say that these companions were Ansar Nabi Allah, Ansar Amir al-Mu'minin, Ansar al-Hasan, Ansar al-Fatima. We forget about these 72, but they were also helpers of Rasulullah, of Imam Ali, of Imam Hassan and Fatima al-Zahra. He says, as Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam comes with Habib in his final moments, Rahimakallahu ya Habib, you fought with all of your life. It's not everybody that Imam Hussein alayhi salam comes to anymore. There are very few people that he actually comes and walks to. Habib now comes and says to him, congratulations, O Muslim. You are soon going to paradise. He says, may Allah also give you the glad tidings, O Habib. Habib says, if it were not for the fact that I am soon going to be joining you in a little bit, I would have asked you for your will. He says, oh Habib, I have a will to give. He says, yes, what is the will? He says, Allah, Allah, fi hada al-gharib. I ask you by Allah, in honor of this lonely person, Imam al-Hussein, قاتلوا حتى تقتلوا دونه. Fight with him until you are killed, standing next to him. He says, I swear by Allah, I will do that. And he dies. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, may Allah bless you, O Muslim. You remembered us in your life, and even in your will, you remembered us. Brothers and sisters, soon the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they are crying that how are we now done? And now the family of Rasulullah now has to go and sacrifice themselves. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. Raise your hands in dua, brothers and sisters. 5 times we will read the holy ayah for those who need these kinds of du'as of holy nights like these. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه. Louder, louder. لشفاء المرضى أما يجيب لقضاء الحوائج أما تعجيل الفرج. اللهم إنا نسألك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأجل الأعز الأكرم 10 times. يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله. إلهي بفاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها يكشف عنا السوء يا الله. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا كفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار مع محمد وآله الأطهار. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والجالسين والحاضرين والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والشهداء والعلماء. نقرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.